Hi friends, hope you're doing well. Today we've come to Sarvastan city. It's 45 miles away from Shiraz. I'm here with my dad. Now I'm here, near the ancient Sassanid era palace. Let's go see it. The entrance of this palace is directed to southwest. This part was the main Iwan, and next is the royal hall, and behind it, a yard, and all of these, surrounded by the residential quarters. This palace is very similar to the palace of Ardashir I, near Firuzabad. But it is much smaller in area than that palace. This palace is around 17,000 square feet. The materials used here, stone and mortar, and they used bricks for the domes. They're doing some repairs and restorations inside the palace. Now it's closed, we can't go inside. Let's go in, from the right side. There was a rectangular east hall here. And the ceiling, as you can see, looked like an arc. One part still remains here. The palace was built in the Sassanid period, the 5th century AD. 5th Sassanid king, Bahram V, known as Bahram Ghor or Bahram the Onager. This palace was built by the order of Mer Narseh, Grand Minister of Bahram V. Mer Narseh was the Grand Minister during 3 periods, Yazdgerd I, Bahram V, and Yazdgerd II. And all of these kings were father and sons. Another thing that is different here, from the palace of Ardashir Papakan, is that they've used many windows for lighting, and you saw the columns used here, but in the palace of Ardashir Papakan, they don't look like this. This part is the yard. This is another room. They had a shelf in the wall as well. These parts didn't look like this, it had some plaster and stucco done, and other decorative elements, but fallen apart over the years. This place was also added to UNESCO World Heritage Site. When they were considering this place, they did some chronological dating tests. And it turned out that most probably, this place went under a major repair and restoration at the end of the Sassanid period using the charcoal in the mortars and the woods used in the palace. Some researchers of Sassanid architecture believe that the construction of this building was one of the first steps towards a special building style of which Gothic architecture can be considered the final realization, which is clearly visible in the eastern and western halls. You can see here how they used to build the walls. They would first put the stones around it, and these are called cast mortars. They would just cast the mortar and stone and build up the wall this way. This part is the West Iwan. This was an Iwan that sadly was destroyed. Bahram Ghor is one of those kings that his adventures and stories are very famous in the Persian and Islamic literature. Ferdowsi wrote lots of poetry based on Bahram Ghor in his famous book, Shahnameh. In Shahnameh, Ferdowsi referred to two people a lot and described their lives a lot. One is Khosrau, a mythological king, and the other one is Bahram V, a historical king. Nizami Ganjavi also composed many verses about Bahram V, from birth to his death. And also Emir Khusrau, the Indo-Persian poet. Bahram Ghor was so famous and popular that some Persian dynasties and powerful ones post-Islam, in order to obtain some political legitimacy, they would attach themselves to Bahram Ghor. Like Safarid dynasty, Buyid dynasty, Shirvanshah and Mikkelids. One application of these corridors that you can find in the east and western halls were moving around and walking routes for the servants. So when there were a party here with royal people, the servants would not walk in the middle of things, and they'd simply can move between the rooms and exit through these corridors. These corridors go all the way to the end, and unfortunately these parts are in ruins. The width of the corridor is around 2.5 feet.
These stones were cut in a round shape, put together this way, and made a column, and they used saruj, some kind of mortar on them. For example, here, you can clearly see it. It still remains from the old days. This saruj is still here. They used very beautiful and sturdy one.
The tomb that we'll see in the city is the tomb of Sheikh Yusuf Sarvastani. Most probably they used this room as a base model or inspiration. There's only one column here, but each part has 3 columns. In the area surrounding this palace, there were some buildings that has been destroyed. Only one small fragment of one of these structures still remains. It's 600 feet away from the palace. It's there. In the description here, they've written that it was the kitchen of the palace. This palace was mostly used as a resort or hunting lodge. It's a small palace, so it wasn't a royal palace. To rest, the king would come here and enjoy. And these are the remains of the kitchen, according to the text written there. The palace is right there. Okay guys, now we are in the city to visit the tomb of Sheikh Yusuf Sarvastani. Let's go check it out. The reason that I came here to show you this is the architectural style of this tomb that I mentioned when I was in the palace. It looks like the Sassanid architectural style, Sassanid Shahartaki. One thing that is different here, in the corners, instead of a single column, they used 12 columns in total. And this is the sepulchre of Sheikh Yusuf. Sheikh Yusuf was an astronomer and philosopher in the 12th century in the Salgorids period. He was born in the year 1203 AD and died in 1285 AD. This part was the place that he taught his disciples, and they buried him in the same place. He lived in the same era as Sadi Shirazi. This is the burial place of one of his disciples. Another Shahartaki here. Sadly, this one is in ruins. This Shahartaki, according to what I've read, was built on his tomb, 40 years after his death. I hope that you liked this video. As always, don't forget to like the video and leave a comment, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, click on the subscribe button. It'd be a huge support for me if you do this. Thanks a lot. See you in the next video.